Here are the top 5 essential things you should bring to your local Pokémon TCG tournament. Spare cards, a playmat, damage markers and counters, snacks, and storage containers. I'll go over these 5 items in detail, and then I'll share more bonus tips and what I personally bring to tournaments. Number 1, spare cards. And aside from the obvious, you need to bring your deck. That's like the bare minimum you can get by without bringing anything else really. If you're someone who likes to get to their destination early, like myself, this is a great opportunity to lay out your cards and think about what to swap in your deck before the tournament starts. Get the shop's opinion, get other people's opinion, ask around. You can even do a little self-testing by simulating scenarios or just ask someone for a quick game. The amount of times I swapped out Iron Hands in my decks are a little ridiculous. Of course, there's the trading aspect. If you have a spare binder, an ETB, or any container, really fill it up with playable cards for trade. Particularly shiny ones, people like to flex their worth. Other common cards like Squawkabilly EX are very worthy. People will trade you neat illustration rares for a basic EX. Number 2, playmats. You don't need a playmat, technically. I repeat, you don't need one. However, I recommend having one if you're able to get one. So game shops will typically keep their spaces and tables clean, but some playing surfaces have seen better days more than others. And a playmat will keep your cards, in particular, your card sleeves in good shape. There are various types of playmats you can use, like the paper ones from battle decks. Some shops may even supply playmats for use already on the table or for you to, try out throughout the tournament, like borrow from them. So if you have a chance to use playmats, I would advise so. And if you're looking for what type of playmat to get, I recommend going down to my description and checking out my top tips on where to get playmats. Number 3, damage counters and markers, or damage markers and counters. I'm a collector first, and I've accumulated tons of dice and coins from Elite Trainer boxes, collection tins, and whatnot. So when I finally started playing, I had lots of uses for them. Now, there's some things to keep in mind. For coins, you have to make sure you're using legal coins for Pokemon sanctioned tournaments, not your regular locals where you don't earn Pokemon championship points. So if you participate in locals that don't qualify for championship points, you'll be fine to use a jumbo coin as long as your shop says it's okay. Just make sure to ask. Bring multiple coins. Jumbo or regular, these can be your ability markers. So if you use a Pokemon ability, you can place a coin on top as a marker. So you and your opponent can keep track if you used an ability or stadium card. Some people just use dice for everything. Heads isn't even rolls. So in a coin flip, if you get a heads, an equivalent is an even on a dice, and odd is a tails. And with a pro tip with dice, you can actually use that as a counter for how many mulligans your opponent has done. My opponents have done this to me plenty of times when I've mulliganed more than 5 times in a row, which happens a little too often for me. As you go through tournaments, observe other people's coins and dice and other general markers. They might have custom stuff that might pique your interest. A couple of people at my locals use tokens from an arcade game from Japan that showcases their favorite Pokemon. Some of them have miniature figurines they use as ability markers, and so on and so forth. Some people just use cards from completely other TCG games, which is totally fine. Is that repetitive trading card game, TCG game? Number 4, snacks. Get your snacks in. If your local shop has a decent turnout of people, I'm talking 20 plus, and you have 5 30-minute rounds, you're gonna need some brain food. I'm a working boy. I have a day job, but I go to tournaments after work, and I might have gotten a quick bite to eat, but sometimes that's not enough. Next thing you know, 2 hours later, my brain is fried from going big brained, and I'm physically and mostly mentally exhausted. There's a lot of factors to it. Could be dehydration, not eating enough, but also those tournaments can get sneaky grueling. So when you're thinking of snacks, try not to go for candy every week. Go for good energies like a granola bar, fruit like bananas and apples, lots of water. Avoid oily foods like jerky, stuff that can ruin your cards like Cheetos, chips in general. I mean, I guess that's fine. Just try to avoid messy foods. Again, you're looking at an average playtime of 2-ish hours. It can get grueling if you're not used to it. My last video, I took a break from playing and then hopped back into playing, and I forgot how tiring it could be, but it's really fun. Number 5, storage containers. So how are you guys going to carry all of your TCG accessories? So many different ways, so many different things, and luckily the Pokemon Company has so much stuff for you to buy. For example, mini tins. People often repurpose them to hold dice and counters. Of course, there's deck boxes you can get to from special collection boxes, or you can buy deck boxes from your local shop. I guarantee you they will have some. Lunch tins. My guy Harry, he's been rocking the fall 2023 Charizard lunchbox. Dude's got everything he needs in there. He's got his decks, his spare cards, his counters. He's ready to roll. And I'm honestly kind of jealous of him. And ETBs. For all of you collectors out there, I know you just have those filled with bulk. Some might have 20 cards, some might be filled to the brim with over like, I don't know, how many can they hold? Like 300? Probably somewhere around there, more or less. I know you don't need all of them with like a couple cards in it. Toss those cards out or push those cards elsewhere. Use that spare ETB, put your deck in there, put your counters in there, put your spare cards for trade. Have that be your first deck box or storage container. It's really minimalistic and you don't even need to bring like a backpack or anything. And for playmats, some people use tubes, some people just shove it in their bag, some people just carry their playmats and roll it up. There's so many different ways. So those are the 5 essential items I think you should bring to your local Pokemon tournaments. I do have a bit more, plus if you stick around, you can see what my setup is like. So some other tips, yes, card sleeves, bring spares, you want to protect your cards, yada yada yada. Lots of other videos will cover this type of content, so I figured I'll leave that out of the peripheral, the outer circle. It's an important tip, but I want to focus on these tips more. Another important one is your player ID, your Play Pokemon ID. If you don't have one set up, I recommend you getting one now. Open up your Notes app on your phone, have it accessible, so when you sign up for tournaments, it's easy breezy. You don't even have to memorize it. A couple of my friends, they have to re-log in to the website and then find their player ID on the website. Whereas all I have to do is open my Notes app, Bob's your uncle, it's there. My final bonus tip is cash. It's just easier for places to accept cash. Plus you can limit how many singles you buy at the shop. Unless you go to a cashless card shop, then more power to you. Now this is what I typically bring. A backpack, a playmat, 2 decks, usually 1 deck box, all stored within an ETB case with spare cards, a tray binder, dice and counter holder, camera gear, which includes a spare battery and a charger and a gimbal, snacks, maybe water, Tamagotchi, and cash. Did you get that? When I take my full kit, I'm not gonna lie, my bag does get a little cumbersome. Okay, obviously I have the playmat laid out right here. So as for what's in my deck boxes here, I have 2 laid out because I recently got this Great Wave Pikachu deck box. So I'm gonna try to integrate it into my everyday what am I bringing routine. So typically in my deck boxes I have my spare cards or spare card sleeves, and not everything can fit in my little counter box, which I'll go over here in a second. So I tend to bring special counters. So I got these at the last regionals I went to, or the only regionals I went to, which was LA regionals. And I use these as neat little counters, and on the reverse side, you can use them as burn and poison markers too. And then this is my main deck box at the moment. My other deck box that I got, that you might have seen in other videos where it's, let me just grab it. This deck box. This Premier Ball deck box, that's a little scuffed right here, that my good buddy Dago gifted me. I do use this for my Roaring Miraidon deck, but since it's retired, I'm gonna keep it on the shelf for now and bring it out at a later date. But right now, this is the deck box I've been using to start building these 2 decks. So right now I have the skeleton of what I need for my Raging Bolt and my Gengar EX, and behind them are these card dividers. And that's where the other cards I'm thinking about integrating into the deck live. As well as spare general cards, like general spares. But that leads into the segue of like my spare cards and what I want to trade and stuff like that. Well, not necessarily trade, that's what the trade binder's for, as in like what do I want to change in my deck. And this is my ETB. Basically it's the premium trainer box from Japan. I like this over the American ETB because it's got a nice little magnetic clasp. So it keeps things nice and secured. Now in here, I do keep a deck box. In here, I carry a lot of deck boxes. And here's my spare card, so it has like, you know, some more skeleton stuff type decks. You know, I keep my Dreepies in there if I ever decide I want to build a Dragapult deck. Pheasantipity. I think I have like a ton of like special art cards and EX cards and regular Vs to use. Like this Luxray, which some people are integrating into the normal Miraidon decks. Right here in this deck box, so this is like, what is in here? More spare sleeves. Oh, I'm a liar then. Well, this is where some other cards would go. Mainly just those rare Vs and EX cards. But I guess not. I took them out for some reason. So yeah, in this ETB, you'll notice there's some more card dividers here, if I can get them out. And these are like framing my skeleton decks I have built in here. So like this might be Future Box, this might be Dragapult, and then these just might be spares I have for like playable cards and whatnot. And usually in this deck box, or ETB, is where my damage counters and general markers would go. It's either in here or in the deck box themselves. Now with these deck boxes, because these are the dual, what's the proper term? Like dual something deck box? Dual pocket deck box? You can insert like 2 decks at a time. So as I mentioned earlier, you got my special counters in here, and you can put my regular counters in there as well, and any other card dividers. So what's actually in here is pretty unique, because I did get this from the premium trainer box, and this is where I house all of my counters and coins, and which I mentioned before. So I just use a regular V-Star marker. I really want to get a PSA 10 or a PSA like 1 or 2 V-Star card to use, but this is fine. This will suffice. I don't use V-Stars all too often, all too crazy. As for my coins, I actually am pretty particular about my coins. I do have this gold Charizard coin from the Charizard Ultra Premium collection. Now I use this as a counter. I don't use this for the coin flip, because I believe that's not legal, because you can't use metal coins. For coin flips and whatnot, I do have this little trio right here. I have Charizard VMAX, or Dynamax, or Gigantamax. I always forget the term. I believe it's Gigantamax. Got Raikou and Suicune. I did recently find another coin. Hold on. I have this Genesect coin from one of the tins I got, and he's just sitting on my shelf, and I've been meaning to add him, but I'm gonna keep this rotation of the 2 dogs and this Charizard, and 2 Charizards. And then in here are my damage counters. So I have 4 regular dice, and the rest are damage counter dice. I used to have little candy damage counters, which came in here, but I stopped using those mainly because they were a bit cumbersome to pick out and stack the numbers on. And then my camera gear. Well, this is my camera case, and this holds my SD card and strap, and my little microphone. It's not a dead cat, it's like a muffler, noise reducer, wind reducer. You just clip this on top of the camera. The camera right now is being used to film. Spare batteries. I always bring spare batteries and a charger dock. They're usually charged before I go, but I leave them in the charger dock so they're not going everywhere. As well as just, random charging wires for the camera equipment. And of course, my gimbal. I use a gimbal. I got this on Facebook Marketplace for really cheap. It was like 80 bucks, and these things usually cost a little over near $200 or so. So this was a good steal. I try to not bring this case to put in my bag because I don't get a lot of space out of it, or this eats up a lot of space, but I usually just try to keep this free roaming or put it in my backpack. But that usually scuffs the machinery or the paint on it, so I try not to do that too often. But yeah, I usually bring this whole case with me. And I'd like to say I avoid bringing it with me, but this really protects the equipment. Of course, spare battery pack for your phone. Usually when I go to tournaments, it's on a work day, like a work week, and I just drive there and I charge my phone in the car. So there's really no need for this. This is more so for my camera if I forget to charge my batteries overnight. And then my trade binder. Nothing really special here. This has like a bunch of old and new cards. So if anyone's looking for any cards, you see anything special in here, let me know and we can work a trade. I'm actually kind of serious. My super not legit, totally legit Louis Vuitton Supreme wallet that houses my cash that I pull from the ATM at the self-checkout lane from my grocery store. And then my Tamagotchi. I think I'm on my 4th iteration. So, and then there's snacks and water and stuff, but that, you guys know what that looks like. So let me know your thoughts, veteran Pokemon players or people new to the game. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you want to pass to other people down in the comments below? Let us know. If you've enjoyed these tips, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content in the future. With that being said, my name is Kevin TCG, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.